Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week's video is part of the series called Empowering Creativity, Conversations with Inspiring Female Artists. Today I'm in San Miguel De Allende in Mexico and I'm going to talk with Isis Rodriguez.
Hey, I am Nocciola the Drawer, an artist and adventurer from the UK. Let's get creative.
Isis is an American artist based here in Mexico, and she is a painter and she paints contemporary mythical paintings. So let's go and meet Isis and get to know her, more about her creativity, inspiration and what brings her joy in her practice. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
My name is Isis Rodriguez and I am a contemporary myth painter.
What initially inspired you to become a painter?
Oh my gosh, what a journey that is. I would say that the Catholic Church, that religion, because I was raised as a Catholic, and that my first introduction to what I consider like art, really fine art, was through the church, seeing the paintings, the still lifes, the sculptures. I just thought it was so well done. That was probably my first introduction. But then, when you're a kid, you don't have the skills to paint on that level, nor do you have the patience. I would say that as a child, I would copy a lot of cartoons, other people's cartoons, like Hanna-Barbera, Walt Disney. And for me, that was kind of like my first lessons because I was trying to get proportion down correctly.
Are there particular styles or themes that frequently appear in your work, and what do they represent?
Yes. I'm into healing. A lot of times I use a word called Nepantla, which means it's an Aztec word from the 16th century that literally means in the middle of it. And it's just the perfect word that really describes the kind of world we're living in. It's very polarized and what it feels like to be in the middle of that. It also refers to the fact of when you're in the middle, you're kind of in the safe zone where you don't necessarily have to take a side. You can just be an observant. And for me, when you go spiritual, you aren't taking any sides. That's the whole point. So you're not part of the conflict at all. In fact, you're rejecting it altogether. So that word has really strong symbolism for me. And I consider myself a Nepantlic artist as well, which ties into being a contemporary myth painter because 500 years or so ago, myths were developed to help people, to help guide people through a very hostile world that was very unsafe, and you just, had to really be careful as a human being back in the days, And that's where religion comes from. When I was in art school and I took my art history class, it really shocked me to know that the Catholic religion really was birthed out of Roman mythology. And before that, the Romans had appropriated Greek mythology. And before that, there was pagan and blah, 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 and it went on. And we're just talking about European history. But here in Mexico, we also have that kind of historical recording of mythology. It just happened to be on pottery, jewelry, painted or carved on the sides of pyramids and things like that. I consider myself and my art to be more spiritual. So in order to tell the story, I create my own archetypes that represent what's going on now. And then I devote myself to years of creating a mythology about that topic. My topics are like shame. Other topics, unconditional love. And those two really, for me, represent what it means to be human. I like to really focus on the glory of being human.
Does the location you live impact your creativity? And if it does, in what ways?
Yes. I'm originally from San Francisco, California. What happened was I lost my inspiration. So I did a residency in Oaxaca called La Cultureria, which means leather factory. I decided to change my style. So my work was feminist pop art, and I just felt like it was superficial, and I really wanted to go deeper into the psychology and the meaning of being a human being. So I used this residency for 6 months. I developed a woman protesting shame, where she wears a mask, a Zapatista mask, in lingerie, and I created other archetypes to tell the story of her overcoming that. So Oaxaca is a conflicted place. There are protests happening all the time. In fact, those protests by the teachers, Section 22, even Chiapas, where the Zapatista revolution have taken place, those are places of conflict. And so those places kind of ignited me, activated me. And then after that, I realized, well, if I'm telling a story of somebody overcoming something that's affecting them in a very negative way, then the logical evolution would be for her to evolve into something else. I ended up moving to San Miguel De Allende because it is an artist retreat. Well, first, it's a retreat. People come here to let go and to escape and to get over loss. Lots of different types of losses, whether it's family, financial, or you're just burnt out at your job type of thing, you know? And this has been going on in this town since the turn of the century, where there were Mexican writers, poets, actors, and actresses that would come here, you know, buy a hacienda. I mean, it used to be an abandoned town. So they started this kind of underground retreat back then, and then it kind of just took off. The word got out, and people started discovering this place. And there's even a legend here. This is what really attracted me. That the legend here is that we sit on a bed of crystals. Therefore, it attracts people from all over the world.
As a female artist in the art world, have you faced unique challenges?
I think life is a challenge generally. I get asked all the time if I consider myself a feminist. When I was young, I wanted to be part of movements, and I would always say yes. If somebody called me a feminist, I'm like, okay, great, I'm part of that movement, yes. If I was a Chicana, I'd be called a Chicana, okay, great, I'm part of this group. But then I realized that you have to be careful with labels because you got to live up to those expectations. I had a little moment with my artwork where my artwork, not because I did it on purpose, but because I was talking about conflict, the artwork became that, and it really triggered people, and it triggered women, and it triggered feminists. And so then I got kind of attacked by feminists, and then I felt betrayed. And then I realized the lesson from that was that I have to be careful, you know, the labels that I accept, because people have a definition of what it means to be a feminist. And then I decided that I didn't have to accept that it was really my role as an artist to redefine myself, to take that word feminism and play with it a little bit. I'm a spiritual feminist. In terms of other obstacles that have been in my way as a woman, I think we have to probably create a movement for women to heal from patriarchy. That's where I come in, I think. And also, how do we establish the institutions if we really want to tear them down? What are we going to rebuild? What's it going to look like? And then are we going to end up becoming power hungry too and wanting to dominate these institutions and they just stay the same all the time? And how are we going to make it better that will turn this new institution into what the next generation would like to see it?
What brings you joy in your creative practice?
Well, I like people. On the weekends, I do like special tours. I call it the Isis Rodriguez Art Tour and Alternative Nightlife. And so I get people from all over the world that book with me, and we start the tour here, and then we go to some clubs and bars that are really underground and fun, playing like new music and really wild, eccentric stuff. For me, being introduced to new people. I like being around people who aren't like me. I don't need to be around people like me to justify who I am or to feel part of something anymore. I'm more about just being myself and focusing on that and then transmitting my ideas to new people and then allowing them to take away from whatever I'm saying and reinterpret what I say and give me their perspective, you know? So by doing that, I create new archetypes. They inspire me. Even my art students that take classes with me inspire me. Or going to events, people's events or cultural events, you know. I have a lot of Indigenous friends that introduce me to new concepts. So I like to be around people that challenge me, get kind of like shocked or have a new perspective about how I can tell my mythology and how it can evolve, you know, and how I can evolve as a human being.
Thank you so much to Isis for this conversation today and letting us know more about her practice, what brings her joy and her creativity. I'll be putting all the links below to her work so you can come and see her studio, her up and coming shows, and all the links will be in the comments below. Let us know what you think of the video and the conversation and if it inspired you. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and comment below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you for the next creative adventure. While you're here, don't forget to press subscribe below so you get weekly videos of creative adventures, behind the scenes and artist resources.